Jenever, Dutch, jə'neʌʌр, listen, English, also known as Hollands, Jenever, Geneva, peket, or sometimes as Dutch gin, archaic, Holland gin or Geneva gin, is the juniper-flavored traditional liquor in the Netherlands, Belgium, and adjoining areas in northern France and northwestern Germany. The European Union regulations specify that only liquor made in these two countries, two northern French departments and two German federal states can use the name Jenever/Genever/Genièvre. Gin was developed in Britain after introduction of Jenever to the island. Geneva was originally produced by distilling malt wine, moutwijn in Dutch, to 50% ABV. Because the resulting spirit was not palatable due to the lack of refined distilling techniques, only the pot still was available, herbs were added to mask the flavor. The juniper berry, which comes from the Latin juniperus, hence the name Jenever, and the English name gin, was used for its alleged medicinal benefits. There is tradition that attributes the invention of Jenever to the Dutch chemist and alchemist Franciscus Sylvius de Boeck, 1614–1672. However, the evidence suggests that Jenever was already known and used as a medicine in the 1500s. Already by 1606, several years before Sylvius's birth, the Dutch had levied taxes on Jenever and similar liquors as alcoholic drinks, suggesting that Jenever had by then stopped being considered a medicinal remedy. Furthermore, prior to Sylvius's 10th birthday, Jenever appeared in Philip Massinger's 1623 play, The Duke of Milan, which referred to the drink as Geneva. Geneva was the anglicized name for Jenever, which English soldiers had brought back with them when returning from battle in the Low Countries, first in 1587, well before Sylvius's birth, and again during the early 1600s. Since the 1950s, Dutch flag carrier airline KLM has issued a series of Delft blue houses modeled on buildings in the Netherlands, filled with Jenever, which are presented to passengers. There are two types of Jenever, oud, old, and jonge, young. This is not a matter of aging, but of distilling techniques. Around 1900, it became possible to distill a high-grade type of alcohol almost neutral in taste, independent of the origin of the spirit. A worldwide tendency for a lighter and less dominant taste, as well as lower prices, led to the development of blended whiskey in Scotland, and in the Netherlands to jonge Jenever. During the Great War, lack of imported cereals, and hence malt, forced the promotion of this blend. Alcohol derived from molasses from the sugar beet industry was used as an alternative to grain spirit. People started using the term oud for the old-style Jenever, and jonge for the new style, which contains more grain instead of malt and can even contain plain sugar-based alcohol. In modern times, Jenever distilled from grain and malt only is labeled Grand Genever. Jonge Jenever can contain no more than 15% malt wine and 10 grams of sugar per liter. Oud Jenever must contain at least 15% malt wine, but no more than 20 g of sugar per liter. Korenwijn, grain wine, is a drink very similar to the 18th century style Jenever, and is often matured for a few years in an oak cask. It contains from 51% to 70% malt wine and up to 20 g/L of sugar. Although the name oud Jenever does not necessarily mean that the Jenever is in fact old, there are some distilleries that age their Jenever in oak barrels. About 90% of all jonge Jenever sold on the market is a blend from malt wine produced by Appellations in Belgium, sugar beet, or grain-based ethyl alcohol from factories in Germany, France and, mostly, Russia and water. Most of the bigger brands contain no malt wine, so resemble in essence vodka. Distilleries in Belgium and the Netherlands actually distilling Jenever mostly produce limited volumes of specialty drinks. A note concerning Korenwijn: the term Korenwijn is a generic name, while the name Korenwijn is a brand name owned by Dutch company Lucas Bols. Jonge Jenever has a neutral taste, like vodka, with a slight aroma of juniper and malt wine. Oud Jenever has a smoother, very aromatic taste with malty flavors. Oud Jenever is sometimes aged in wood. Its malty, woody and smoky flavors resemble whiskey. Different grains used in the production process, such as barley, wheat, spelt, and rye, produce different flavored Jenevers. The taste is sometimes enhanced by adopting barrels previously used for American whiskey. Hasselt, Deens, and Aalst in Belgium, and Schiedam, Groningen, Amsterdam and Delft in the Netherlands, are well known for their Jenevers and often referred to as Jenever cities, Jeneversteden. In Amsterdam, Jenever is made by the distillery, Van Wees Wine and Fokink. Well-known Schiedam Jenever distilleries include Nollet, Bonder de Bumpjes, Pitt, and de Kuiper. Near the Dutch-Belgian border, in Barle-Nassau, Zuidam produces traditional Jenevers and Dutch liquors. Other Geneva cities in the Netherlands are Groningen, Hubhout, and Dordrecht, Rot Distillery. In Belgium, Diens is very well known as for the Villiers Distillery, and Aalst is well known for Stokerij de Moor and Stokerij van der Scharen, both still active today. Also with the Beer Sea Distillery in Wallonia, one of only 2 Belgian distilleries to export their Genever to the USA. Dutch-based Lucas Bols produces and sells out Genever, known as Ginebra in Spanish, in South America. Ketel One is now more known for producing vodka, but started out as, and still is, a Genever distillery. Traditionally, the drink is served in a tulip-shaped glass filled to the brim, with the surface tension enabling the Genever to rise higher than the glass's edge. Jonge Genever, colloquially a jonky, young, is usually served at room temperature, sometimes, though this is now quite old-fashioned, with some sugar in a tiny spoon to stir. The drink is sometimes served cold from a bottle kept in a freezer or on the rocks, jonge middages. The higher quality oud Genever, and Korenwijn, is usually served at room temperature. When Genever is drunk as side beer, normally lager, as a chaser, it is referred to as a kopstoot, headbutt. When the glass of Genever is dipped into the beer glass, it is called a dokboot, submarine, in Flanders and the south of Holland. Traditionally, Genever is served in full shot glasses taken directly from the freezer. As the glass is very full, it is advisable to take the first sips without holding the glass, leaving it on the table and bending one's back to apply one's mouth to the glass. Recognized for its historic and cultural contribution, the European Union protected Geneva with 11 appellations or AOCS, of which most are exclusive to Belgium. Exclusive to Belgium, the Netherlands, small parts of France, and small parts of Germany, Genever, Jenever, Grain Genever, Grand Genever, Fruit Genever, Fruit Genever. Exclusive to Belgium in the Netherlands, Old Genever, Oud Genever, Young Genever, Jonge Genever. Exclusive to Belgium, Oude Vlaanderen released Flemish Grain Genever, Oude Vlaanderen Echtest Vlaams Grand Genever, Hasselt Genever, Hasselt Genever, Belgium Genever, Belgisch Genever, and the Walloon peket. Exclusive to 2 provinces of France, Flanders Artois Genever, Geneva Flandre Artois. Exclusive to 2 states of Germany, East Frisia cereal grain Genever, Ostfriesischer Korn Genever.